Yeah, from my perspective, it's a probably a little bit building on yours, but a little bit different too, Young. Since I'm more in the linguistics and culture, more purely than the engineering plus adding, for me there's two elements there. For example, if the language aspect is required, then definitely like, I'm sorry, I can't remember your name. She was saying earlier, make sure it's highlighted there, everything that you have done with it. Because just because you say, I studied 6 months in Germany, like the other colleague was saying, you can have lived with 6 other US citizens not interested in learning the language. So that's probably not gonna take you too far later on because we check these things. Now, if the language aspect is not required, still make sure to highlight it because that shows that you're prone to taking risk. And in today's market, that is something that employers want to see. Want to see that you are able to take on things that are not part of your plate, that are not, you're willing to go the extra mile by relocating here, going there, you know. That also helps you grow within the company, so.
So let's be honest, we know right now, the generation coming out, the kids and the young adults coming out of college now are looking at a different kind of lifestyle than we did, and even the generation before us. And so we know that you guys want to, you value your downtime, your home time, you know, your party time, whatever, you know, whatever time it is. So we want to make sure we maximize our time together because typically what statistics are telling us, your generation, we're going to get you for about 3 years and you're going to move on. You might not move up because, you know what, you want to try something new, so you'll move on. So we're really keen on maximizing the relationship together. So that's why it's really important to find the right fit. That doesn't mean it has to be cookie cutter. You know, we don't want cookie cutter folks. We want folks that have that diversity of experience within their college education and with internships and things like that, so that we can maximize our time together. And we like people to be able to just start running when they get in the door. I mean, you're going to have a corporate culture you're going to have to deal with, especially me and my personality. But still, you're going to be able, we want you to be able to start contributing immediately. And we find that folks that have been out in the world tend to contribute a little bit faster because their walls have already come down a little bit. And so that's important. So we look at a lot of those things as well, you know, in the resume.
I'm sorry for me. We were talking earlier about culture and language. We were separating those. Try to think about it as a whole package. The language per se is going to help you for certain things. The culture, if you add that to it, it's going to help you a lot more. Make sure that you don't only learn the language, learn culture. It's really important. That is extremely key. Because if you go to translation, for example, and let's leave it just pure translation, a lot of it is contextual. So the culture, knowledge of the environment, it's going to show you what you have to do. Now, if you're in a corporate environment like some of you are, it's that cultural aspect, the one that help you move through, because you can let go if you make a linguistic mistake, but it's really hard to let go when you insult somebody culturally. That's going to be really tough for you to recover from. So make sure that you know the culture as well. And you don't have to go too far to learn, for example, Spanish. You know, to me, 3 years in Spain and 6 years in San Diego, it might be pretty close, or in Florida, you know. Don't feel bad just because you never made it to Latin America or Spain or, you know, for German. Don't feel so bad. Just make sure that you are in an environment where you're exposed to these things.
One of the things I wanted to expand a little bit, what Jesse was talking about earlier, is that, you know, especially the German language or any similar language that has a technically different rules maybe than just the colloquial speaking. You may want to try to gain that knowledge if you are looking for an employment, especially with an engineering company. Or, you know, engineering is slightly different, and if you are a engineering major with a world language skill, you have a very good potential of getting jobs in there. And if you can expand on that technical language, That's going to be tremendous helpful. That's something you can develop now as a world language student right now. You can probably get, nowadays with the internet, you can get any technical articles online, and you can read and you can try to understand what they're saying. It may be boring for you, I agree, but at least if you can understand one paragraph of it, that's going to be a huge benefit. So if you're trying to get a job locally, even helping somebody translating some of the technical documents and things like that, as a 1 or 2 year, that was one of the questions, how can I get a job with 1 or 2 years study? Yeah, you can just learn some of the technical terms, and then you can market yourself with an engineering company. Hey, I can translate these things, and that will be definitely helpful for you.
Can I add something to this? Because I think the reason why it's worked out so well with me working part-time for Venka is that he wanted someone that was an engineer that was also knew German to translate. Because if you just had someone that, say, knew German really well but was reading these engineering documents, a lot of times they may not be familiar with a lot of terminology or understand exactly what they're talking about. So it's really helpful that if you have both backgrounds, it really makes it translating those technical documents a lot easier.
I like this notion of learning language and culture as a risk-taking, and I wonder if you could speak maybe to other sort of transferable skills, how employers think about these types of, sort of skills that students have, that maybe students just think, well, I'm learning a language, I'm learning a culture, but maybe it's a little more nuanced in terms of sort of how companies and businesses think about what kind of actual skills students have.
I think one of the skills that we look for, and it's across the board, is speed. And I don't mean doing a task, but I mean, with as fast as you can. But I mean the ability to consume information and then quickly turn that into something. And that's something when you're in a language situation, especially when you're in a cultural situation. You're going to naturally have to do that. You have to make decisions. And I remember when I was out on the streets in Bulgaria walking around, and I didn't know squat. From a cultural standpoint, I wasn't quite sure I was going to eat the next day. Because I wasn't quite. I've been going to the same place. I got sick there, and I'm like, I'm not going back again. And I'm gonna try to figure it out. So finally, I started taking the bus. I used to walk everywhere because I was like, this is the best way to see stuff. Problem is, after a while, you get tired of walking, and so you go the same route. Well, one day I jumped on a bus, and I had no idea where I was going. I had to make some quick decisions, though, because I knew one thing, and talking with my Bulgarian friends at that time, I'd only been there for a week. There's one neighborhood you don't go to, right? And by golly, guess where I ended up on that bus? And the bus quit running. That was the last route, so I had to walk out. Now, A, I was hungry, B, I was scared, and C, I didn't know the language well enough to tell somebody, don't mess with me. I had to use body language at that point. That's a whole different. The thing is, though, in those kind of instances, speed, thought, it increases. And if you can develop that skill, you're going to go a long way. Not just on the translation side, the cultural side, the day in and day out, but people are going to notice that. And those people who have that internal speed, they get to move. They move. We call them the movers and shakers.